So we're going to kick it off here. So thank you for everyone that has attended or is attending in attendance. Excuse me. We'll kick it off. I have a few slides to go over to introduce some people, and then we'll turn it over to the folks, Chuck specifically, and Oren, and we'll get started here. So thank you, CallTower and Five9, Chuck and Oren. Without you two, we couldn't be doing this meeting, or we wouldn't be doing this meeting. So if you wouldn't mind, Chuck, if you quick introduction, and then Oren, if you want to introduce yourself after that.
Yeah, awesome. Joe, Kelly, corporate data team, thanks for setting this up. Really happy to be here. I've been with CallTower for about 18 months now and really focused around the Teams voice solution that we've been selling.
Yeah, and I'm Oren Wentworth. I cover the channel here for Five9 for the New England, New York area, and work with the corporate data and voice team very closely for a long time now. So looking forward to going over some stuff today that I think will be relevant. Excellent,
and I agree. All right, we have a few people in attendance from the CDVS, the corporate data and voice team. Joe Spampanato here. I am the president of the organization and the wearer of many hats. For those of you that do know me, I'll let the folks here. Is Manny on? Manny, are you still here?
I am on. Manny Spampanato, vice president of operations here.
Kelly.
Hi, Kelly Kucher, senior client specialist, team lead. Thanks for attending today.
Excellent. Rachel, and you're muted.
Rachel Neary, client specialist, and nice to see everyone.
Excellent. And Pete?
Hi guys, Pete Lankars down in Rhode Island here, client specialist with corporate data and voice solutions. Thanks for joining us.
Excellent. And I believe Christy did jump off, so she'll be joining us she had to jump off for another meeting, but she'll be joining back with us later on. So today's agenda, most of you have already seen this, but we'll review it very quickly. I have a few more slides to go over, just some housekeeping items. Then we're going to turn it over to, and I think we have this reversed on our agenda, and I apologize. Chuck, I believe we're going to have you kick it off right after and then we were going to send it over to Oren.
Yeah, Joe, I'm definitely flexible though. If we need to pivot, totally fine there.
No, we'll keep with it. So we're gonna have CallTower first, and then Five9, and at the end we'll do some follow-up questions and raffles. Okay. Let's see here. So again, a couple of housekeeping rules. Please keep your microphone and video muted during the presentation, if you wouldn't mind. Once the guys kick it off. We are recording this session for the folks that have attended. We'll be sending that out. You can obviously forward that to your other folks that you would find it beneficial to send it to. Each attendee that is present at the end will receive a Grubhub e-gift card that we'll be sending out. Compliments of Five9 and CallTower. Questions are encouraged through the presentation. Please type them in the chat. I'll be kind of emceeing the questions. I'll be interrupting nicely, interrupting Oren and Chuck, and interjecting those questions. If we need some clarification, we may call on the person that has asked the question just to clarify. We want to make sure that your question is answered. We also, as I said, we encourage questions. So the more questions that are asked, we put additional chances to win a raffle at the end. So you'll have at least one chance to win a raffle for attending, and more chances if you ask questions. And then, of course, the names will be drawn for actually two gift cards, one from CallTower, one from Five9 at the end. Make sense? And did I get that right? $50 gift cards, guys? Is that what the plan was? Yeah. Okay.
Yep, works perfect.
Yep.
All right, great. All right, fantastic. Let me All right, some more people are joining here. All right. For the folks that don't know CDVS as we go by, but Corporate Data and Voice Solutions, again, welcome. Thank you for joining the meeting. I want to make sure that a couple of points are mentioned here. We're all about the customer, right? And Chuck and Oren and some of you know this. Our focus is on what's important to you, what's not important to us, or in this case, Oren or Chuck, right? You're the important part here. So again, this is your time. Please ask questions, and we want to make sure we get the most out of the session. We definitely take a consultative approach, and I think you'll get part of that feeling from this meeting. We act as an extension of your team. So if you engage with us, again, Chuck and Oren has seen this live, that we become as much of the team as you want us to be. We definitely take a high touch approach. Of course, right now we're not touching, right? No shaking of hands or anything, but we definitely take a high touch approach to the way we do business. We are and can be an ongoing resource, additional resource to your organization. Quick example, I was engaged this week by a customer, ongoing customer that had some questions and challenges around pagings, their paging system. And they had been challenged with getting their paging system integrated with their phone system for 5 years. We engaged with them, and we're able to help them within 24 hours get their paging sorted out and working. So again, you might engage us for something like CallTower or Five9, but definitely can act as a resource for other purposes of your organization and needs. We have an extremely high customer retention rate. We're very happy about that and proud of that. We are definitely passionate about what we do, and the foundation of what we do, the way we do business, is all about honesty, integrity, and accountability. So we definitely want to be your partner, not just a vendor, right? Again, that ongoing relationship. And thank you for attending. And you can take a look at this last slide. We always try to end this little part of it with a funny bit of information. So thank you. Again, thank you for attending. I'm going to stop my share here, and hopefully it stopped. Chuck, I am going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Let me go ahead and share my screen here, guys. Give me 1 second. Let me know when you can see my PowerPoint pulling through here.
Absolutely, can see it.
Yep.
Awesome. Everyone can see me circling the logo here?
That's correct.
So perfect. As Joe mentioned, the more questions you ask, the more raffle entries you get. So could pay off huge. If you have a question, make sure you get it in the chat. Joe will get it over to me. I could talk about our solution, for 3 hours, but I'd rather spend, 30 minutes answering questions you have. So please stop me at any point. Happy to take those questions. So CallTower, we've been around since 2002, and we've been cloud-based since the very beginning. Everything we've done has been cloud-based. We've never required on-prem infrastructure or anything like that. We're a little ahead of the game here, to be transparent, right? We used to walk into conference rooms and talk to customers, and they thought we were crazy when we'd say we could host their phone system in the cloud. Luckily, cloud's come a long way in the last 18 years, and most organizations are trying to move almost everything to a cloud-based deployment. We've been around for a good amount of time and have a lot of customers. My numbers here are actually a little outdated. They go back to 2020, so we have added a couple more customers here in the last 2 months or so. Best of breed, CallTower, we've never been app builders. We've never been user interface developers. We don't have the engineers to do that. We don't have the developers building user interfaces. So we've always leaned heavily on our strategic partners, Microsoft, Cisco, and now Zoom's becoming one of our huge partners that we're leaning on as well. They develop the apps, and we focus on what CallTower does best, which is our cloud-based telephony, VoIP, UCaaS. There's a million terms out there, and what it means to CallTower is a redundant, phone system in quotes that we manage for our customers, right? You're not having to do any move add changes. We give you the full ability to do that, but we can also do a fully managed solution for you. So you can focus on the next project instead of, making move add changes in your phone system. All of our support is 24/7, 365, US based. We don't outsource any of this. They're all CallTower employees, just like I am, and just like Kate in marketing is on our presentation here as well. So
Chuck,
what really sets, go ahead.
real quick, I have a quick question from Bob. Is there a sweet spot, or what is your sweet spot from a user count perspective?
Perfect. Yeah, we usually like to focus about 25 to 1,000 seats. That's really our sweet spot. Anything, and actually, Joe, we've seen some verticals that we used to have almost red X's on, things like construction, manufacturing, where we weren't really a good fit for them, but Teams has come so far in the last year that there's a lot of verticals, a lot of organization sizes that we're a better fit for that we might not have been in, early 2020 and 2019. And that's simply because Microsoft has done some huge things to improve that Teams user interface. So right about 25 to 1,000 seats is what we like to focus on.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Any other questions out there?
Not right now.
Perfect. So the way we supply our cloud-based telephony, VoIP, UCaaS into that Microsoft Teams application is via the direct routing program. And our engineers are pretty creative. They come up with some awesome things, but we did not come up with direct routing. Microsoft themselves did. This is the program they created to give their user interface, Teams, a more complete backend from a traditional phone system perspective. Microsoft Teams is great. You can do file sharing, collaboration, chatting. There's so many things, video calls you can do in Teams, but there are some shortcomings. Things like Joe mentioned earlier, integrating with an overhead paging system, right? There's really no way to do that in Teams. Microsoft couldn't figure it out, but CallTower, we've been doing cloud-based integrations with overhead paging systems for about 18 years now. So they knew if they opened up the telephony side to phone companies, they would be able to run with that great Teams user interface foundation, if you will, and build on top of it. So we give you the ability to do overhead paging, door systems, simple things like SMS texting and call recording for compliance, and even bigger integrations like Salesforce, HubSpot, Microsoft Dynamics. There is no true way to integrate Teams with a CRM. So that's why Microsoft opened this up to direct routing. We've been doing Skype for Business integrations with Salesforce for about 8 years when Teams first came in the market. Instead of them wasting the resources to develop these integrations, they knew CallTower already had them built. It's almost the same thing on the other side. Why would CallTower waste resources trying to compete with Teams on the user interface side? Everyone loves Teams. It's already on a lot of your end users' laptops. So we decided instead of competing with Teams, we would partner with Microsoft, and they needed a strategic partner as well. So almost a great relationship here. You get the same Teams user interface your end users already have or already familiar with, and then you're adding all of CallTower's Cloud PBX on top of this. Great for redundancy purposes, as well as just feature enrichment. So instead of having that one on-prem phone system, or maybe hosted on 2 or 3 different locations if you have that going inside your organization, we're hosting your phone system pretty much across the entire country in 7 different data centers. These are all active to active failover, which allows us to be ready for crazy things that can happen, right? Earthquakes, power outages, right? Say our San Francisco data center has an earthquake and Texas has another huge power outage. Nothing really to worry about from CallTower because we still have 5 other data centers handling your end users' voice traffic, hosting your voice system. The data center I like to highlight the most is our one in Chicago. We didn't just happen to be in this data center. We picked this one for a very strategic reason. Microsoft themselves owns the entire 8th floor in this building. We're on the 6th floor. So our connection to Microsoft is essentially a 25-foot cable that never leaves that controlled, secure data center. It just bypasses Verizon on the 7th floor and goes directly into Microsoft's infrastructure. We have similar connections in all our other data centers, but that one's definitely the simplest and the closest connection to Microsoft. We've also gone out and created peering points with major ISPs, NSPs, bandwidth providers. These are the people that you're getting your internet from. So instead of them, bouncing your call tower voice traffic from one ISP to another, we've paid them a good amount of money to ensure they're going to send that call tower traffic directly to our data centers. So on your organization's corporate headquarters, you might have some internet optimization you're doing, but you probably don't at, Steve in sales house or Mary in marketing's house where they're working remote. So how do you ensure they have a good quality of service for their voice? CallTower's already done that for you because there's a really good relationship with either Comcast, Verizon, Charter, whoever that end user is using for their local internet at their house. So whether your end users are in your corporate locations where you have control, working from home where you have really no insight, or even somewhere like a Starbucks where they're working remote or they're in there answering emails for a couple hours, they'll have great voice service in all three of those type of deployments.
Hey, Chuck. So we do have another question from Bob. How do you manage multiple operator consoles?
Perfect. So when you say multiple operators, are you talking multiple people or multiple solutions for that one operator?
I'll let Bob answer that. Bob, can you go off mute?
Yeah. Hey, Chuck, from a perspective of locations. So if you have a 15 office environment where each individual office is answers their own, is the quote unquote receptionist. That's maybe a better term, but they still need, transfer, forward, and all those other capabilities.
Yeah, so Teams does a great job of transferring. They give you 3 different types. You can do a blind transfer, which is pretty traditional. It sends it over to that person's phone number. You can do a consultant transfer, which is, hey, so-and-so, this customer's calling for you. Are you available? They say yes. You can then merge those calls. And there's also the ability to send someone to a parking lot and then, chat that other end user in Teams, go, hey, I have Steve on line 13 for you. Could you pick that up? So there's some couple different options there. We're finding that maybe receptionists are better off, and I'm going to hop out of my PowerPoint here for 1 second. Maybe receptionists are better off, zooming out in Teams compared to what I have and seeing more people, seeing more faces, seeing more statuses. So that, if I get an inbound call for Doug, I know that Doug's available. Or maybe a better example is I get an inbound call for David Wilcox. I can see he's out of the office. Let me send it to Doug, who's another engineer that can help out, right? That sort of thing. I also, as a receptionist, any individual find me, follow me features your executives or the salespeople have built into Teams will be respected when you transfer it to. So if you're the receptionist and, Steve wants all his calls on his cell phone, you don't have to worry about that anymore. Steve would configure that himself in Teams. When you blind transfer to him, it's going to ring Steve's cell phone. So there's a couple different ways to address a lot of different things here, either between end user settings, hunt groups, or admin settings. We can do a lot of different functionality with receptionists.
And we might as well answer this if you don't mind. If Teams is voice enabled through CallTower, is it compatible with handsets? And we get this question a lot. So,
yeah, great question. So the big reason we use this native dialer here in Teams, Joe, is for exactly that, right? We're not affecting the Teams user interface at all. So anywhere you can download Teams, whether it's a laptop, a cell phone, or one of those native Teams desktop phones, that experience will remain exactly the same, whether CallTower is the provider or you're doing it yourself or you're getting calling plans through Microsoft, that sort of thing. Each end user gets up to 9 devices with their Office 365 licensing. Microsoft doesn't care if that's 1 laptop and 8 phones or, 1 laptop, 1 cell phone, 1 Microsoft Surface, and 1 desktop phone. Tons of flexibility there. Also, provisioning these devices is way easier from an IT perspective. You simply provide them internet, provide them AC power, usually over the same power over Ethernet cord, and then that end user is simply logging in with their Office 365 credentials. That's now their phone. They stay logged in until they log out, or another user logs in over them, which makes those devices great for like a hoteling or hot desking sort of situation.
Great. And boy, hopefully we can get back to your presentation, but these questions are great. So we have another question. Is there an ACD or call center routing component? If yes, does the customer have the ability to make changes like with an on-premise PBX, which that's a really great question.
Yeah, so on the contact center side of things, I'm going to defer those to the second half of the presentation. Five9 will answer all those questions. But we do have simplistic ACH, hunt groups, call queues available inside of that Teams native user interface. They work great because they can do things like presence-based routing. And Joe, I hate to hop out of the presentation again, but I just want to show this. I think it's way better with an example. The presence-based routing that we can take advantage of in a call queue, the same way we can see that Jack's available and that Adam's presenting do not disturb, any call queues, any hunt groups, anything like that they're a part of can also see that status. So for the next hour and a half here, I'm in a meeting. The sales queue I'm a part of is not going to ring my phone. It's going to ring Jack's phone instead because Teams can see I'm in a do not disturb status.
Great. And the admin of the Teams system has the ability to manage the changes of the components of ACD that's built into Teams, correct?
Correct. Yeah, that same Teams admin portal where you're spinning up new users, configuring devices. CallTower leans heavily on that Teams admin portal because there's a ton of functionality in there. Creating auto attendants, hunt groups, all of that is in that same Teams admin portal. We build it all for you day one. Day two, we give you full keys, full access to make any move ad changes, or we can help you with it if you need, recommendations, that sort of stuff. But we don't lock our customers out of anything. They can make any move ad changes they need on the CallTower side of things.
And you're going to speak at the end or closer to the end about the integration with Five9 if the included ACD feature set isn't enough, right?
Yeah, exactly, Joe. So that's a huge other reason Microsoft created direct routing for the actual call flow side of things. So Teams, great functionality, auto attendance, call queues. But if you're an enterprise doing, answering 300 calls a day, that call queue is going to fall a little short for the functionality you're looking for. So Microsoft opened this up because we can pull any feature, any functionality that's kind of sitting on that CallTower bench. Five9 is very much a part of that. So this call queue, very simplistic. If you need, call waiting, call back features, really talking about handling serious call flow, that's exactly where we lean on our other strategic partners that we have sitting on our bench. It's our same Metaswitch backbone that's connecting the Teams voice in Five9, just almost an inlay or overlay for those agents that need the more advanced functionality. They can still communicate with people that aren't an agent, but they're getting that advanced functionality from Five9, if you will. So that's the other big reason Microsoft created this. They're keeping this Teams user interface so locked down, there's really no way to integrate with it. So CallTower does the integrations on like the telco level or the back end level, if you will.
Great, thank you.
Of course. So we do a lot of things on the commercial side of things, right? If you're a nonprofit, a school, we also do educational and nonprofit pricing as well. But where CallTower's really seen its strength is in the government community cloud high encryption space. So this might be something that a lot of people haven't even really heard about, and that's kind of by design by Microsoft. This is their highest level of encryption that Microsoft offers. Think Raytheon, Boeing, people making things for the military. They need a higher level encryption than, say the standard real estate company. The reason I share this is we charge these DoD customers, the Raytheons, the Boeings, we charge them a ton of money back in CallTower's past to build this voice network. Now our commercial customers are kind of just paying us for their usage because those DoDs, those Raytheons, they've paid for us to build all this infrastructure. It's already built. We're simply, just adding more customers to it. But these DoD customers, these GCC high providers that we had to build this high level of encryption to be compliant with, we're now giving our commercial customers access to this, giving you really high level encryption, great quality of service, simply because we've already built it and we want to take advantage of it. So the commercial side of things, you're getting almost the highest level we can offer because we want to keep all of our network compliant for these GCC high, big customers of ours.
Great. If you want, do you mind if I have a couple more questions for you?
No, yeah, I'd love as many questions as you got, Joe. That'd be perfect.
All right, so another one from Bob. Who is responsible for the dedicated connection between client and call tower?
Perfect. Yeah, so that's actually an awesome question. Let me hop back here. So CallTower is never connecting directly to your end user's Teams client. We connect directly to the Microsoft Cloud PBX via that 25-foot cable in Chicago. So when your end users make an outbound call, they're actually hitting Microsoft's cloud first, which is great for security and compliance for your end users. They're not jumping out to the open PSTN network or anything like that. They're going through all of Microsoft's cloud, all of Microsoft's encryption, and then CallTower's grabbing it and sending it to the open PSTN network where, all your normal calls flow.
Great. And Bob, we can also have we can also assist in terms of SD-WAN solutions to help you with connectivity if that's needed. Chuck, one more question. Another great question, man. In regards to the seat count, what if any would the, I'm not reading this right, any problem bringing smaller offices online, around 10 to 15 seats?
No, so the great part of our solution is that we never have to step foot on-prem. Your IT guy that's located somewhere else doesn't have to fly out to that remote office. If they have a stable internet connection and already have, power over Ethernet run, we're going to be able to do a fully deployment solution. Just the people in that office will have to be there and, unplug the old phone, plug in the new one, that Ethernet, and that's it. We don't have to send an engineer. We don't have to get a corporate data person out there. We can do it almost all remote, which is great if we're talking, a place up in Maine or somewhere in Kansas where it's not super easy to get to.
So the 10 to 15 seat office is not a challenge for you because I have heard this elsewhere where organizations just don't want to do business with smaller organizations for some reason.
The good news for us is we charge per seat per month. So whether it's a 1,000-seat organization or a 10-seat organization, it's the same price per user. So on the back end, it doesn't really matter to CallTower, right? We have 400,000 users and we're charging this for them, right? So we don't really care on the size of the company. We just care on the warm bodies and we bill it that way appropriately. We understand not every company has 10,000 seats and we're not going to be able to do, a huge project. We get that. We're focusing on what we do best, which is remote deployments. And honestly, Joe, we're even seeing some organizations that don't need any physical phones anymore. They've had everyone cut over to soft phones, and that's working great for them because they can download Teams on their iPhone, their Android, and use that anywhere they go with any internet connection or any cellular data connection. So it's working great for our construction companies that are sometimes standing in an empty lot before anything's even being built. So that's why we're kind of very flexible there on that side of things. Okay.
And we have another great question. Boy, how is this handled with 90% of people working from home, right? What's that deployment look like in terms of, getting people up and running when they're working from home?
Yeah, so that can be a little scary for your end user. So we've done some things to try to ease the transition over from a standard phone system that they might be, call forwarding to cell phones. We kind of wanted to make it an easy transition. So what we usually do is we assign every end user a temporary number in Teams that's not their real phone system. not connected to their mission critical dialing, anything like that. So whatever solution they're using today remains unaffected. We'll roll this out with temporary numbers. So now it's just something your end users can try, they can give you feedback on, not something they have to use tomorrow to keep their job. We find eliminating that kind of day one go live, fears does a huge thing for our customers. The other thing is your end users are already using this for file sharing, for managing their calendar, and for chatting. We're simply adding your corporate phone system to that same login, that same application. They're going to pick this up very quickly. So also during that temporary number, we'll do an end user training where our trainer Jessica will do a formal webinar. We used to send her on-prem for the bigger projects. We unfortunately can't do that anymore. So she'll host a weekly webinar, a couple different webinars for you guys, and do some end user training, answer those questions. But then once your end users have this for 2 weeks, they've played around with it, they become more familiar, then we'll port your old numbers into this system. Usually we're doing those ports on like a Thursday or a Tuesday. So your end users will, log out for Tuesday morning or Tuesday night with their temporary number. When they log in Wednesday morning, their real corporate number will be in there and their traditional calls will flow through this Teams app. So usually temporary numbers, training, a 2-week exposure period, and then we'll eventually cut you over and make this your new phone system. Really helps those end users that are, struggling to jump from a traditional phone system to a cloud-based one.
All right, fantastic. So I think we're good for questions and answers. So continue. We have about 7 more minutes. I know we're cutting you short, I think.
Yeah, no problem. This is perfect. One of the things we also do, it's not just UCaaS, right? And we can help with a lot of other things too. Contact center solutions, right? Five9 is going to hit upon that huge. We also have some legacy Skype for Business ones, not really exciting, almost the legacy offerings here. Conferencing and collaboration. We're also a gold level CSP, so if you need help with Microsoft licensing, you need help doing a Microsoft audit, are we being double charged here? Is this the best bundle for my end user? We can help with all that sort of things. Also, if you need, Zoom technology, the ability to, if you're a law firm and you're having to use Zoom for some, courthouses you're working with, we can help with that too. And Joe did hit upon this a little bit earlier, network optimization. You're probably moving a lot more applications that you were, either hosting on local devices or hosting in your own servers. You're probably moving a lot of those to the cloud in the last year, last 2 or 3 years. What we're finding is your bandwidth and our customers' bandwidth wasn't quite as redundant and as good as they thought it was, right? To say things kind of straightforward. So what we're able to do is prioritize that bandwidth with our CT Cloud Boost solution. So things like Salesforce, Microsoft, any ERPs you're using or any, data that you're pulling down, we can prioritize those cloud applications while slowing down applications like Spotify, Netflix, Facebook, right, Instagram, making sure that your bandwidth on your corporate headquarters is being used for the things you want it used for, not that an executive on an important Teams chat is having bandwidth issues because, everyone in the cubicles is, streaming Spotify. So that's something we're able to help a lot of customers with. It's UCaaS, CCaaS, collaboration, and network optimization. All 4 pegs kind of lead to the call tower, if you will.
Hey, Chuck,
Yep.
Can you explain a little bit why organization would want to come to you for their Office 365 licensing? Because as you and I both are aware, CallTower has taken over some of our customers' Office 365 licensing. But can you explain to the group, why you're taking more and more of that on?
Yeah, Joe, I think the big one is a US-based support staff, right? I think that's the huge one. What's that quality of that support agent that's helping you fix your issues? All of our support agents are CallTower employees, just like me and Cade. Most of them sit in the Utah office. And just to be transparent with you, a lot of those people actually came over to us from Microsoft. Back in about 2008 to 2010, Microsoft was shrinking their US-based footprint and moving those jobs overseas simply for we were just starting to grow our Microsoft practice. Skype for Business was taking off like crazy for us. So we actually went out and scooped up a ton of those laid off Microsoft support agents. We added them to our CallTower, organization, and a lot of them are still with us today. And just to kind of highlight some of these people, I like to point out Andy and Antoinette. They were both on Microsoft's internal support desk when themselves, Microsoft as an organization, was moving from Skype to Teams. The things Andy learned during that 2-year transition have been huge in getting our organization on the right path for Teams, and now they're huge in getting our customers on the right path for Teams. Andy and Antoinette pretty much lead our Teams deployment, and it's simply they have the most experience there because Andy held Microsoft's hand through this whole process. Now he's helping our customers do it themselves. Also, Joe, price, right? We have no upcharge on our Microsoft licensing. We bill it just like Microsoft does at retail, but you get all of our support free of charge on the back end. And again, that's not a CallTower program. Just like direct routing, that's a Microsoft program called the Cloud Service Provider. None of your data moves. There is no migration. Simply CallTower's taking over the management for you. It's almost like refinancing your car, right? You still have that car. The car's still in the same location. You're just paying someone else monthly to manage and bill you for it.
All right. Thanks for clearing that up. Thank you.
Of course. I'm coming to the top of my allotted time here, Joe. Any other questions out there from the crowd?
Yep. Is your support teams only or the entire suite?
Yeah, so they'll support all of Office 365 from the voice to PowerPoint to Word to SharePoint. They support all of that. And I just want to make sure I got the question there, Joe.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. Bob, did that clear
That's
that up?
correct. Yep. Sorry, bad typing.
Oh, bad reading sometimes. All right, awesome.
Perfect. So I'm going to pass things over to Oren now in the Five9 team, but I figured stuff ready. I'll just throw up some stats Five9 sent over to CallTower. I like to highlight this agent one here. Customers are willing to wait longer if it means they get the agent right, but customers also want it to be less than 15 minutes to get that resolution solved. So kind of a double-edged sword here that Five9 can help you kind of figure out the basics on. You got to get those questions answered quickly, but you got to get them answered accurately, right? That's really the tough part of a contact center.
So again, Teams does not have direct integration with Five9, but because of what CallTower has to offer, you're making that work, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So
Fantastic.
any questions on any of these stats? I probably have to refer the questions over to Oren for it, but these are some stats that we're sharing all the time that help our customers end users understand why your customers want their questions answered quickly, why they want accurate information, as well as, what are businesses looking like? That's another huge thing I like to lean on Five9 for is there's a good chance they've worked with 30 other companies. They're trying to do exactly what you're doing. This is what they saw was successful. So on all of our deployments, we really lean heavily on Five9's white glove services, their recommendations. Their engineers have seen it and they're ready to make recommendations for you to solve those issues. So I just can't speak highly enough of Five9's team.
John, buy me a drink first. I mean, come on.
Yeah, okay. Or I'll take you skiing one time, man, and then we can be friends, right? Let me turn the share screen off here, and I'll throw it over to Oren.
All right, let me go like this and share this. All right, cool. So, yeah, no, and I'll, Joe, I guess I'll just take it away, right?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Cool. So, thanks for the setup. I mean, obviously, I think everybody here, as far as Five9 is considered, CallTower is the gold standard in Teams, right? I mean, if you're looking to do, I mean, they've been doing it forever. They're still doing it forever. They were quite frankly ahead of all competition that's been in, that marketplace for a while. So we really lean on them hard and effectively. That we have a very, very nice symbiotic relationship with the group at CallTower. So the two solutions really kind of marry up nice, but from a Five9 perspective, we offer sort of a niche service within the whole portfolio as of teams, and as we talked about before, Five9 effectively is a contact center as a service provider, right? And there's a massive market here that is sort of emerging that it's nice to be out ahead of, right? And I think we've been recognized as an industry leader. The execution is there. We have a thought leadership. We have really good thought leadership within the space, in the sense that Five9 is really, again, ahead of the curve. And really, since day one, which is about 10 years ago, really all we've done is contact center, right? And we've really just kind of focused on doing contact center and focused on the ancillary products around it, right? So a lot of these things are traditionally solved via point solutions. So you go and get a CRM, you go and get a workforce management tools, you go get your your different QA tools or whatever. The bottom line is Five9's ecosystem is very friendly in that sense, right? And I highlight CallTower here because they're one of our preferred providers. CallTower and Teams we see quite a bit, and in a good sense, right? So we have tightly integrated products in between the two, where we can pull presence and we can send calls back and forth and things like that. And all those NNIs are effectively built at the data center level. So while we can be layered over any technology, there is some pre-built applications in the back end that make this a really, really, really seamless operation. So from a contact center perspective, our CEO coins it the new front door of the business, right? And I think that it's not the fact that COVID created all this like crazy opportunity and, oh my God, everybody's working from home, like we came out of nowhere, sort of like a Zoom. Rather, it just accelerated trends that were already in place, right? I think people were starting to realize that we need to increase the way that we interact with our customers, right? I mean, oftentimes, if you're shopping from home or you're doing anything, the first time you're touching a business, you're oftentimes interacting with a call center, right? Be that a chat on a website, be that some sort of, voice assistance program, be that some sort of, email component, or again, SMS component, things like that. Customers are really starting to say, okay, we need to enhance this experience and make it better, right? So from our own internal data, this is just, pretty straightforward in the sense that the orange line was last year and the black line's this year, right? And it's not so much that, again, that a ton of stuff has changed. It's just people are working more, right? And I know for myself, I've always worked from home, but in the last, I guess effectively a year now, productivity's up, right? You're working all day, you're working a lot more. So people are spending a lot more time in the contact center. And when you start to think about this stuff, traditionally, when you build out a contact center, you're looking to build contact centers in areas that are effectively have a big talent pool, right? So you want to hire them in outside of college campuses or in lower income areas and things like that. Whereas when you start to talk about the contact center now, you're really opening it up to the whole entire country, right? Or even internationally. So you can really start to pick and choose your spots, and creating these sort of customer experience, platforms, if you will, becomes a lot simpler than it has in the past, right? I mean, the days of, 500 people sitting in cubes in a warehouse in a boiler room, that still exists, but if, there's better ways to do it, right? And what we're seeing a lot of trends in the marketplace is what we call IVA, or intelligent voice assistance, right? So what that really means is, instead of having to call in, to a bank, right? And you say, hey, look, push 1 for sales, push 2 for this, push 3 for this. What if you could effectively just call in and say, I want to call and I want to find out, I want to transfer money into my daughter's account, right? Sort of different complicated technologies like that. TD Bank recognizes through voice biometrics that is Orrin Wentworth calling. He has an account. Okay, can you just verify your account is X? Boom, I verified it through that, and all of a sudden now it's how do I help you, right? So you're really creating that sort of customer experience, and this is a labor market. People are the expense in call centers, right? And there's a lot of cool things that we're doing with bots and things like that we can sort of supplement, rather than just sort of this kind of old school just hiring model. But the contact center market is here, right? And why are we relevant? We're probably one of the fastest growing companies in the space that a lot of people haven't heard of, right? So The 39% year-over-year growth we just posted, about 500 million in revenue. Business is really good. People are doing this stuff. They're into it. We're cash flow positive. We're not going anywhere either. So just understand that this is a, not a fly-by-night operation. But, we talk about call centers and where does this stuff play, right? And a lot of people are probably sitting there like, well, I don't have, 25, 50, 100 people sitting in cubes making calls. Okay, that's fine. But let's talk about Teladoc Health, right? This is sort of one of my favorite stories that we can offer, right? So if anybody's used Teladoc within the last, I don't know, again, year. So I used them fairly recently where I had I cut my hand and I, called into Teladoc. If anybody's used it, you put in your information, says, okay, great, hold on, here's the waiting room. 5 minutes later, it pops you in with a doctor, right? The doctor pops on the screen via a video connection. You say, hey, look, this is my hand here. I have a cut. It looks infected. Yep, agreed, it's infected. Let's go ahead and prescribe you some antibiotics. Where would you like that sent? CVS in Newburyport. Okay, great. Send the prescription. I get an SMS when that prescription from Teladoc is ready, because they're tied in on the back end. That entire transaction end to end is powered by Five9, right? So when you start to think about customer experience, it really could be anything. Now we have a lot of business in banking and healthcare and obviously retail, stuff like that. But just understand that if there's things that people want to do in different avenues to try new ways to get in touch with your customers, that's kind of where we fit. From a customer experience component, similar to CallTower, right? We put a lot of emphasis on customer support. We focus on, again, going back to our CEO, if we focus on, his thing is, if you focus on the customer and you make them happy, the rest of the stuff really just takes care of itself, right? And that's sort of a proven recipe, to the sense that all of our implementation, all of our, we hire experienced people, we pay top dollar for back-end resources, we do all of our stuff in-house. And again, all this stuff is US based too. So while we're expanding overseas and moving into Asia and moving into APAC and so forth, it's very much a US based organization. So.
Hey, Oren.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind. So organizations that either, have a contact center today with some type of a product that helps, manage the call routing, or an organization that doesn't have something in place and needs to have something, it could be daunting, right? If they haven't made a change or implemented a call center before. How does Five9 help organizations make a transition or help them create a call center?
That's a good question. So a couple different ways, right? And we see a lot of, traditional Avaya, Cisco customers, stuff like that, starting to, saying, hey, look, we want to do this, but we want to move off Cisco. We want to move off Avaya. We want to just move our call center there. In this world, being a software company effectively, right? Since we're not providing a lot of telco, it's not a one size fits all, right? And I think there's a mistake out there that people think that this is just, okay, it's just X amount per seat and I just go, right? Everything that we do is custom built, right? So we would go to the customer and say, what are the goals that you're trying to achieve, right? What do you have today? Where do you want to go? Okay, you don't have anything? Well, here's some different ways that we can improve businesses, right? Here's other businesses in your vertical that have done different things. I talk about the Teladoc Health example. Now that's sort of an extreme, but you think about insurance companies and banking and things like that, where banking is a big one, and where customers have, traditionally, just they're all the same, right? They all just do this kind of same thing and they all just copy each other. And how do you get ahead? Is you start to have conversations around this stuff and spend more money on it and more focus on it from an organization down. Oftentimes when we're having these conversations, a lot of these conversations are driven by operations teams, right? Marketing teams, sales teams. They're not necessarily driven out of IT. Sometimes they are, but for the most part, they're an organization-wide decision. So if you don't have one today, again, just understand that we have the consultative arm to do that stuff. We would lean on people like you guys at CBDS. You know what to look for, you know how to position it, and nothing's a one size fits all approach. So the conversation becomes really, what would you like to go? Here's some of the trends. Here's some of the best practices, and here's how we can create it for you.
Great, thank you.
So what are we talking about here? All in all, and Joe, I'm ripping through this deck a lot faster than I kind of anticipated, but that's okay. So from a product perspective, right, we're talking about everything from voice, video, email, mobile, social, SMS, messaging, chat. All these are kind of like under the customer experience arm, right? So oftentimes we start with voice, and then people say, hey, look, we want to add email, right? We want to add a mobile component. We want to add social. Some of the social stuff's really cool. So when we work with airlines, things like that, I don't know if anybody's ever seen it before, but like if you go to JetBlue and you say, hey, look, I had a bad experience. These guys, you go on Twitter and you say, hey, look, I want to, these guys had a bad experience. JetBlue really stinks. Immediately within a couple minutes, you're going to get a reach out from a JetBlue agent looking to take that transaction offline, right? Quickly sort of diffuse the situation and then move it in-house, right? So you can quickly kind of control your social media. SMS, so if we talk about, you want to do, that CVS is sort of the most common one, right? Like where you get a prescription, it's ready. Hey, look, we got your order, and have that SMS transaction. Those are all sort of under the Five9 umbrella. Now, again, you don't have to start with all this stuff at once. We have different tiered licenses and so forth. And oftentimes what we see is, life cycle of a customer sort of, improves over time, right? So when we talk about, we start with voice, maybe we start to look at things like some different routing components, right? We start to pull in a UC provider. We start to look for, workforce optimization. We start to go down the road of, different channels and QA and monitoring, things like that. Some of the services that we offer post sale are not just account management, but we also offer what's called a TAM, or a technical account manager, right? It's effectively a contact center admin on steroids for hire. And basically what that means is that person is going to give you, best practices, right? They're going to share they're going to share thoughts on what you're doing. They're going to share, they can make ads, moves, changes, and all this kind of stuff. So if you don't have in-house contact center resources, we offer as a service, SKUs to help you manage that stuff, right? So effectively sort of that managed service approach. So again, don't be intimidated by this stuff. I think there's a lot of terms here. It takes a little while to sort of get your head around kind of what's going on. But when, people are doing this on a regular basis, where the adoption, is maybe 3 years, 2-3 years behind the UCaaS world, the phone system in the cloud world, but it's coming up quick. So just understand that this is a long-term relationship, and we really value customers long-term. It's not just shoot every new logo that moves. It's very much let's understand the customer, let's take it slow, and then move up the ranks from there. So that's kind of what I had with a big heart for Chuck.
Thanks, Oren. What are some customers we can call into and experience a Five9 call queue or something like that?
That's a good question. You could call in Massachusetts, for example. You could call into Eastern Bank. There's a big one. They could, you can try to kind of explore their IVR and things like that. A handful on that slide that I had before. Any of these guys here all have our all of our service. From You Flowers is actually a smaller name, but a really good case study, right? Valentine's Day is their busiest day of the year. Just happened, we sort of do an all hands on deck when Valentine's Day comes up for that customer. But they have customers ordering chat, SMS, email. They have a variety of different ways that they interact with their customers. So there's a perfect example of someone who has that sort of front-facing interface. Now that's sort of more a traditional call center, but that would be a good one to check out.
Hey, Oren. So we have a question from Damon, and Damon, if you wouldn't mind, can you go off mute and ask the question? Because I think it's a great question, but I want to make sure we're asking and answering the right question.
Sure. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my question is around, so we have many on-site PBXs, and I'm sure you get this a lot. They need to stay for other reasons. And currently today we have an Avaya system with 50-person call center. And as you mentioned, a lot of these people are going at home, especially now, and they're probably going to, in some sense, stay home. But I can see the benefits of, if there was some type of call routing handoff from the Avaya system to the Five9, it has that, as you said, it's an IVR on steroids, and to be able to take that to the next level of customer service would be interesting if the on-site PBX could still exist.
Yeah, it can, right? So, I mean, we can layer over the top of anything at the end of the day, right? We have plenty of customers that layer over Avaya, layer over Cisco, stuff like that now. We're very much agnostic in that sense. We have a lot of deep integrations with UC providers, but again, at the same time, and we can layer it over, I mean, a Nortel system if you wanted to, really. I mean, we just need that. We do provide telco services if a customer wants one, but otherwise, I mean, we would effectively drop a SIP trunk in between the two, and then just create dial plans, and it's really pretty straightforward. So this can be layered over anything. It is not restricted to any particular PBX. So that scenario you just described would be more than susceptible. Excellent.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we actually have a use case that we did just that with a ShoreTel system, and the timing couldn't have been better. We launched that customer back a year ago, January, believe it or not, right? So where we moved this customer's phone numbers specific to their call center phone numbers over to Five9, created the SIP trunk down to their ShoreTel system, and then end of February, early March rolled around, and they had to move everybody out of their from coming to work in Boston, and have them all at home, all their agents at home, and like I said, the timing couldn't have been better, but it's a great solution. That PBX, it's fairly new. They love the PBX, but the contact center piece, they needed more. So it was exactly what you were mentioning, Damon.
Cool.
Yeah, Joe, I call into Omaha Steaks, which is one of Oren's customers, all the time, and I call them once a month because I hate grocery shopping. And I call right in. They go, "Hey, Mr. Phaneuf, how were the last pork chops we sent you on the last order?" It's just an unreal experience every time I work with a Five9 contact center as a customer, right? Not even on the back end side of it.
Oh, absolutely. And they're not just waiting for your call, Chuck, although I hear you order from them quite often.
I think you have to be a special VIP in order for Omaha Steaks to get that kind of treatment, but maybe not with Five9.
Awesome.
All right. Do we have any other questions for either Chuck, Oren, or myself? All right. I'm waiting for. Oh, here we go. Oren, are you seeing this? So I don't know. Can you transfer a call from call center and transfer it to departments not in the call center? So again, that integration between systems.
Yeah, so that's where the UC integration is really comes into play. It is a very strong use case. So you can pull presence and things like that through a CallTower or someone like that. If in Joe's example of the ShoreTel, we would build a SIP trunk in between the two and then just create dial plans, right? So you could pass, you could still transfer off and on, but there's going to be really no intelligence built into it. When we team up with a Teams or a CallTower or someone like that, it's just a much more richer experience. But yeah, absolutely, you can transfer off and on network and things like that. They're just not going to be captured within the recording or monitoring or any of that kind of stuff. Those specific tools are going to live within the call center users. But yeah, if you want to like pass a call off to a non-Five9 agent, as long as there's that intelligence built in through the trunk, then yeah, it's totally doable.
Oh, great, thank you, Lou. Do we have any other questions for the group? All right. Well, as promised, we're going to do a drawing. So Chuck, we'll do a drawing for your gift card. Do you have a specific gift card, e-gift card that you'll be sending out?
Yep. So we've been doing the Amazon gift cards as kind of our gold standard over here. Who doesn't have $50 of stuff they can buy on Amazon, right?
Amazon who? What do you mean Amazon? So, all right, let's pick that. Let's pick our
Favorite
first name.
store.
All right, so we have Cade. And did I get this right? Cade Herbert?
Yeah, that's me.
Cade's with me, Joe. So let's do another one.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Thanks,
All right,
guys.
see what we do with that? We don't put it back in. All right. And Rob McMullen, is he still here? All right, he did. Ah, perfect. All right, so Rob, you are the first winner. We're all winners, but you are the winner of this particular gift card. And then second, we'll do the one from Five9. Orrin, what are you planning
Yes,
on?
deal is Chuck, $50, Amazon.
Amazon again. And
Yep.
well,
Simple.
the person I think that asked the most questions, Bob Dubois.
Perfect.
So you are the winner of the Five9 gift card from Amazon. Excellent. Well,
Nice job.
nice job, Chuck. Orrin, I think it was a great session. Thank you very much. I definitely learned a few things that I was unaware of. So when I can learn, I think the content was really rich and helpful. So we're definitely getting some great feedback actually already. So I think a job well done. Again, thank you everyone for joining. We will be sending out the Grubhub cards, e-gift cards for your lunch in the future, and we'll also be sending the recording link once we get that posted on our YouTube channel. So
I see that Dustin has his hand up. Sorry to disrupt you, Joe.
Oh, okay. Dustin, did you have a question? You are muted.
There you go. Hey, can you hear me all right now?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey, if people wanted to get potentially like a demo of any of these systems or take any steps on learning more about, what it looks like, what it costs or whatnot, how would you like people to proceed on that?
That's a fantastic question. I wish I had another gift card.
If you can find one, just send it my way. It's fine. If you have any GME stocks either, I'll take those.
Absolutely. So just reach out to any of us at Corporate Data, and we'll help facilitate getting the right people. Again, if it's not Chuck, if it's not Orrin, we'll coordinate and facilitate getting the right people on the call to take that next step and understanding more how these solutions can be a fit for your organization respectfully. Make sense? All right, awesome. Again, can't thank you enough for joining us. Chuck, Orrin, awesome job. Thank you. And we'll see you soon.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.